Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Time Out with Yomi Martins. And this is your favorite guy, Yomi Martins from the city of Lagos, Nigeria. And you know on this channel what we do, we talk about passive income, we talk about everything finance. And on today's edition, you have to stay till the end and I'll tell you why. I'm going to be talking about 9 compulsory insurance that you must have, insurance policies that you must have in Nigeria, and the penalties if you do not have them. Number 9 will shock you. That's why I want you to stay till the end. Number 9 will shock you. If you actually like what I do and the kind of content I produce, please ensure you smash the like button, drop me a comment, and also subscribe to my channel. It would be just the way to say thank you, Yomi, for all those wonderful information that you have been giving us. So let's dive into it. Now, number 1 is the motor third-party liability insurance. Now, this is a basic requirement, right, that is mandatory for all owners of vehicles in Nigeria and the drivers. You cannot actually operate a vehicle in Nigeria without having at least a third-party insurance. You can also have a comprehensive insurance if you wish to, which takes care of liability both for your vehicle and the third party that you would have had an accident with. Now, let me tell you, the penalty for non-compliance, right, is pretty tough. 1, you will be fined. 2, your vehicle will be impounded. And 3, I'm sure you didn't know this, you can face possible imprisonment. I'm sure all these guys driving on our highways today without insurance, they do not actually know that they can be imprisoned for not having at least a third-party motor insurance. Now, coming up at number 2 is the group life insurance for employees. Now, employers with 5 or more employees must provide group life insurance coverage for their employees. Some will say, well, how many employees do I have? I just have 5, I just have 10. So far you have at least 5. You need to provide them with a group life insurance, right, equivalent to at least 3 times the annual total emolument of the employee. So basically, if the annual emolument of the employee, for instance, is 2 million, you have to provide insurance at least of 6 million because the annual emolument is 2 million. So you need to provide that life insurance policy, and it's a group policy. Now, penalty for non-compliance. The employer may be liable to pay the amount that would have been paid by the insurer, along with additional fines. That means if you don't take that insurance and the group life insurance and that employee actually dies, you will be liable as an employer. So far you have at least 5 employees to pay what is due to the beneficiaries of that deceased employee. So why not take the insurance in the first place? It's cheaper, don't you think? Coming up at number 3, I'm sure a lot of developers, a lot of private citizens also do not know this at all. And I laugh at you. It's called the builder's liability insurance. Some of you will ask me, so what is that for heaven's sake? Builder's liability insurance again? Yes. Owners or contractors of buildings under construction with more than 2 floors are required to have insurance cover for the building. That means you are starting off the process of building, right? So far, well, in Nigeria, we call it 2-story building, but it's called 2 floors, right? If your building is more than 2 floors and you are constructing currently, you must have an insurance on that construction. If not, what will happen? Penalty can include fines from government. 2, suspension of your construction work until you go and get that insurance cover for the construction. Now, coming up at number 4, this will interest the people in hotels, schools, hospitals, and all that stuff. and even private homes. It's called the Occupiers Liability Insurance. Owners of occupiers of public buildings. So far you own a public building. Even as an individual, you might establish a library and members of the public have access to that building. An hotel, a school, an hospital, and all that stuff must have this insurance cover to cover the associated risk with the use of that premises. So those big hotels around your neighborhood, those schools around your neighborhood, let's find out whether they have the occupiers liability insurance. Now, the penalty for this is very, very simple. Failure to obtain this insurance can result in fines or closure of the premises by the regulatory authorities. Do you know that? That means that school, that fancy school that you own, might actually be closed down if you do not have that occupiers liability insurance cover. Now, coming up at number 5, this goes to our medical doctors and healthcare professionals indemnity insurance. That's what it's called. Healthcare professional indemnity insurance. Requires all healthcare providers, all healthcare providers, be it you're a doctor, you're a nurse, and all that stuff, are required to have professional indemnity insurance to cover liabilities arising from their professional practice. For instance, they gave the wrong injection and the patient sues you and all that stuff. It is the insurance company that will be liable to compensate the claimant if you make such a professional mistake. Now, the penalty for that may include fines as well. Do you know that your license can also be suspended, suspension, or the revocation of license by the regulatory bodies? That means the regulatory body, that Medical Association of Nigeria or Nurses Guild or whatever, can actually suspend your license for not having that healthcare professional indemnity insurance. I'm sure a lot of people do not know this. Coming up at number 6 is the employees compensation insurance. Requirements are for employers. Employers are required to have insurance that compensates employee for injuries sustained in the course of their work. Penalty for this: non-compliance can lead to fines, legal action because it actually happened in your premises, right? And additional compensation to the affected employee. So why not get the cover in the first place? If you know the kind of jobs that your employees are doing is quite risky, why don't you get them an employee compensation insurance, especially those working in manufacturing industry and industries that actually have those associated risks. Coming up at number 7 is the statutory group life assurance for government employees. That's meant for the government employees. It's also compulsory. This is mandatory for employees of government agencies and is similar to the group life insurance for the private sector employees. Now, penalty for that, you will be wondering, how can they penalize government, right? But let's see. Employer may face sanction and be required to compensate the beneficiary directly. Obviously, you can't put government in jail, so they have to compensate, the beneficiaries directly. And obviously, those who are in charge, probably in charge of personnel management within the government agency and all that stuff, might actually be sanctioned and all that. Coming up at number 8, this also involves the private sector, is the goods in transit insurance. Now, the requirement is for all transport companies and logistic firms must insure goods in transit within Nigeria. For instance, you are taking goods from a major manufacturer from Lagos, you are going to Ibadan or you're going to Abuja, you must have goods in transit insurance. Now, penalty for not having that: the company can face fines, suspension of their operation, and legal actions. Now, let's roll the drums. Da, 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 da. Number 9 is the occupational health and safety insurance. I'm sure some of us are hearing that for the first time. The requirement is for industry with hazardous operations. In the manufacturing industry also, same with mining, those who are into chemicals and all that stuff must insure against occupational hazards, because some of these things you are producing, they have health consequences on the employees. Now, penalty for not having that would include fines, closure of the work premises, and criminal charges. I hope you heard me right. Criminal charges. Now, you'll be wondering who will enforce this. There are various enforcement agencies going around every day, from Lagos State government, the federal government, checking up on the compliance level, even the National Insurance Commission, Federal Road Safety Commission, the Nigerian Police. They check, your papers to ensure that you have adequate insurance for vehicles. The Building Society checks. I said earlier, government check and all that stuff. So why put yourself in harm's way? Who am I to tell you all this? You know me, Yomi Martins. I'm an investment advisor for one of the A-list insurance firms in the city of Lagos, Nigeria. I can help you negotiate a fantastic deal that you cannot afford to resist. If that interests you, check the description section of my video. Get in contact with me. You can fill a Google form. I can also get in contact with you. You can also get in contact with me via WhatsApp on 080-33-026-237. I'll take that one more time. 080-33-026-237. You do not have to put yourself in harm's way because you don't have the right information. If you like this content, drop me a comment. Tell me your experience. Do you know somebody who has been in harm's way for not having one of this kind of insurance? Let's discuss. Until I see you again, I remain Yomi Martins from the city of Lagos, Nigeria. Catch ya later.